Maybe. And welcome to episode 43 of Rippin' the Rack podcast. I am your co-host, Tim. With me today is my co-host, Brian. Brian, say hi.
Hi, everybody.
And special guest appearance. He was on Friday. He's on Tuesday.
It's that guy.
We got Mark Ritchie.
What's up? How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me back. This is great.
Now we're going to talk
doing
Marky's
these little
wheelhouse.
chats.
We're going to talk bowling.
Absolutely.
So for people that know Mark or don't know Mark, Mark is the proprietor of Riverwalk Lanes in Haverhill? Amesbury. People may know it as close enough to Haverhill, I guess.
It's close. It's about 5 minutes down the highway. So
It's an exit.
5-10 minutes.
It's an exit.
Yeah, it's not that far.
right.
Amesbury's kind of small, all things considered. Haverhill's like the big city. Everybody's like, oh, you're from Haverhill. No, that's okay.
No.
So, Mark, for those of you that don't know, Mark is a world champion. He did win the singles. He has been multiple time 200 string.
Three.
Well, keep it up. Keep it up someday.
Yeah.
You're going to be something.
Hoping to get 5. Someday I'll be something. My son will probably catch up before I get there.
Hopefully you can catch me before I retire.
Do you still have
Hey, I already took a house record from you one time. It's not out of the realm.
Hey, I can stop recording anytime.
Do you still have the mass record for 3?
Do I?
Yeah.
Yes. I have the world record for 3.
Okay, I didn't know if it was the world record. So
It is.
I didn't know if somebody wonky broke it in Canada or what happened.
No, Calvin came close, I think, a couple years ago. I think he threw 5:15 or something to that effect.
5:14, yeah.
He threw 5:14. Okay, so
Yeah,
he tied the old work. I have 5:19. I did that back in 2011, and hopefully it stays there. I was at Metro Bowl. We were in our Friday Night Pro League.
I can remember that night, and I'll tell you why. I got my first ever smartphone, Galaxy S2, and Kelly and I, we were dating at the time. We went to the bar, and then we went to Denny's, because that's what you do after you go to the bars. You go
Absolutely.
To Denny's. And I'm sitting there, and I'm looking through Facebook on my new phone, and I'm like, holy fuck, have a night, Mark. Like, holy shit. I remember when that happened.
So I got to be honest. I mean, I've got 2 500s.
Yep.
I don't know if I could look at either one of those and go, where the fuck do I find 19 more pins? Like my 500, I'd need 19 to tie, 20 to win. And my 502, obviously, I need 70 to tie, 18. And I really don't know where I could find those. Where I could find 19 more pins.
The only thing that I can say, before that, I had 2 other 500s. I had 2 500s. One, some people say you can't count it. I say bullshit. I threw 502 in the first 3 strings of a tournament. Some people say it doesn't count. Those people that say it doesn't count probably haven't thrown a 500.
So I will tell you from someone that's thrown a 500.
Yes.
That counts in my eyes.
I think it's
and I believe I've done it before in either a 5-string or a 10-string, and I just don't remember. The worst part is I have one 800, and I don't remember what my first 3 of that 800 was.
See, I'm still chasing the 8. I always wanted, before I was done with my career, I wanted a 200 for 1, a 500 for 3, and an 800 for 5. And I have 3 200s.
Don't ask me what I finished that tournament with. Because
Who cares?
I did not.
You threw 800.
I didn't win. I threw 800. I threw 800 the front 5 of a 10-stringer.
Yeah.
I went 605 on the back because I lost complete concentration because I was so excited that I just threw 800.
Wow.
And in my mind, I'm gonna go, fuck this. I'm going 1500.
Right.
And I just all of a sudden, I'm like, oh look, squirrel. Oh look, shiny. Oh look this. And I went 605.
The more impressive part about that is you both 1400 and lost.
That's what I was about to say that, like 1400 at a 10-stringer.
And you lose.
Yeah.
I've actually lost 2 or 3 times with a 1400.
Wow.
Yeah.
I could say confidently if you threw 1400 in today's bowling, world, you're going to win 95% of the tournaments you bowl in.
And usually by 70 to 100 pins at a lot of the events that we bowl at. Like there's a lot of 10 stringers you go to, and it's like 13-30 is a W.
So
now,
Tim, back on the Pro Tour. somebody
Yes.
throwing 1400 was
Yes.
like, oh, that was good. Somebody threw 1400.
No, it was still holy shit. Someone won
Was it?
1400.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You still
No.
went
Today-
700, 700. That's
Yeah.
still no. You still averaged $140 for
Well,
the day.
it's
Yeah.
like-
Still no
Well,
It's still
today somebody throwing 1400 in a tournament today would be a holy shit moment.
yes.
Yes.
Because, and I'll tell you from my perspective, because I'm lucky enough that I've bowled what I would call two different generations. I'm that bridge generation between, the Russ Neelys and the Charlie Mylans, and the new generation of the Boudreaux and those younger bowlers. Mark, I'd probably put you in that. Brian, I'd put you in that younger bowlers.
Mhm.
Okay. It's not that the pins and stuff were more juiced back then.
But
It
they
was
were.
that the owners and proprietors took more care. They didn't care if your hands got dirty, as long as the pinfall was consistent. Now, and Mark, you can speak to this as a proprietor. Now, what I see from other proprietors are, man, did you see how clean my pins were? Yeah. And it sucks.
Yep. There's been a shift as an owner. I have a unique perspective. I get to see it both ways, as a competitor and as an owner. As a guy that runs a place, my customers are more looking for a pleasant bowling experience. They want the bright colors, and they want the music and the glow bowling and everything. There's been more of a shift. Huh?
They want the sizzle, not the steak.
Pretty much. The sizzle is what people come in and they take a look at. You can look at all your other bowling alleys. Look at some places that have gone up and been renovated recently. Was anything done with the machinery or the pinfall or the house balls or anything? Probably not. They probably got a brand new sound system. They probably got a whole bunch of flat screen TVs. Oh, look, we just put $1 million into this bar. It was different because you're right. I'm a few years behind you, Tim. I was 4 or 5 years away from getting a couple good years with the big heavy hitters like you were talking about.
Yep.
The like down around my way in Mass, the Carringtons, the Ashlines. I never got to see Tommy Olster throw a ball except on television. I wasn't in the pro game. I didn't get to see a lot of those. I caught them at the last year or two before they were just like, all right, I'm just going to have fun with this now. As that generation has gone away, you've noticed everywhere, and I can attest to this because I still bowl in pro leagues and I still go everywhere like you guys do. The pins nowhere near move as well as they used to.
No.
The emphasis is put on, look at my clean bowling balls, look at my white bowling pins. I love having white pins in my place. Damn straight I do. But at the same time, I'm going to make sure they move.
So
They're going to move.
That's and you are our second proprietor that we've had on here. We had the owner operator and proprietor of Stars and Strikes Bowling Center, which was formerly Hobbs Lucky Lanes, which was Oxford Hills Bowling Center, which is where I grew up bowling. Okay, Russ Neely owned it. Now his son Russ Jr. owns it. Okay.
He's doing a great job too. I see a lot of his pictures on Facebook. That place looks awesome now.
Yep,
It looks
and
great.
he's got more that he wants to do.
Yep.
And he is going a little bit old school, meaning he is. I'm not gonna say he's juicing the plates because I've been to places where they're juiced. What he's doing is he's cleaning them and he's putting some things down on the plates that make the pins move.
Look, I want to clear something up real quick, and we got a platform to say this right now. The people that call the word juicing like a bad word, it's because they don't understand what it. Cleaning your plates and putting some silicone or some whatever you put, that is juicing. You are not just leaving it alone to be dead stone ping pong ball at redwood trees. Good luck. You have to put some stuff down.
Yes.
And the word juice gets a stigma because of steroids and all the other things. Look, it is slicking the plate. If you don't want to say juicing, say slick it up. Say get them moving. Those are things that we have to do.
Do the decks.
You got to do your decks. You got to juice them up a little bit. Do you want to go up there and put 5 gallons of lane oil on your plates? No.
No, but
do
you know,
want to make sure that the pins move when you throw a good ball. Yeah.
but you know
do.
what's fun, and I'll tell you, as a bowler I've been at the top of the game and I've been at the bottom of the game.
Yes.
I've either seen it all or done it all for the most part in
Yep.
the game of Candlepin bowling. The most fun as a bowler, as a tournament caliber bowler, is when you go to a house that you know the pins are going to go. If you're throwing a good ball, you're going to score well.
That's all I ask.
If I'm throwing a bad ball, that's on me.
That's my bad. I'm going to have to make an awful lot of four horsemen's that day.
Maybe,
that's my bad if I'm not throwing
maybe
good. But if I throw it, I want it.
Maybe I get a few breaks off the head pin. Okay, that happens anywhere. But what I'll say is there is juicing the plate, which is, holy shit, I threw it down in the corner and the pins are going like crazy.
That's Old Park Place.
That's drenching.
That's
your
Old
plates.
Park. That's Old Park Place. As a bowler, that is fun every once in a while. I don't want it every week.
That was fun for the weekend of the Mixed Worlds.
It was fun for a weekend. You know what I mean, Mark? Like,
I do.
It's as a bowl.
They were overdone to a point where pins didn't fall down; they slid, and then it got frustrating.
Yeah.
Park Place was done twice a week, and guys like that. Some people like that.
Yep.
I found it horrendous. I throw a hard ball. I throw a fastball, and I would go to houses like that and make them look tough. We used to bowl the Sunday Pro League there.
Because you blow everything straight through.
Dude, there'd be people there averaging 127, 131. Here's Mark Ritchie, I'm averaging 114.
Yep.
I would just punch everything through. I was captain 2-1. I couldn't get those things. You got me into a place where the pins were tougher, and that's where I would excel. I would bowl better in those places. Give me a midpoint.
I want
Augusta. Honestly, I want Augusta.
Augusta is one of my favorite places to bowl. And Mark, I hate you because you did take my high single there.
I love you too, buddy.
Even though it was
my lifetime high single too. I just want to let you know that if I did it, I did it right.
You did it the right. You did. You did it the right way.
You went Biggie Fry and Biggie Drink.
Yes,
I really did. I really did.
Now my previous high single there of 198 should have been a 200, but I screwed up in the ninth box. I missed what I would call a gimme spare, and then to a strike in the 10th. It is what it is.
Those things happen when you're on those big, huge games.
It is.
I was that string I threw 207 at Augusta. I was 199 and a ball in the 10th.
Yeah. And you were saying, "Oh God, don't throw it."
I made a mock in the 10th. I was 189 after 9. Made a mock in the 10th and went. The first thing that went to my head is, don't throw it off your foot. Yep. I have a way of hitting myself in the foot because I release very close to my foot. Yep. And I have hit myself in the foot and cost myself more times than I can imagine. When that ball left ask anybody that was there, the ball left my hand. I didn't care where it went. I threw my arms up and I screamed, not because I was about to hit 200, because I didn't hit myself in the fucking foot.
Yeah.
You were just happy
I was so
on the way
happy
somewhere
that the ball
in the middle.
went that way.
But see, that Augusta is my favorite house to bowl in, other than Oxford Hills or Stars and Strikes, because Stars and Strikes, it's a special place for me.
It's home.
Because it's home.
Yes.
Augusta is my favorite place to bowl because it's consistent.
I would definitely agree with that.
I bowled leagues there, and for tournaments, it's consistent. Meaning, if I'm throwing a good ball, I'm going to be rewarded.
That's all I want. Let me hit the head pin and give me something to shoot at.
Yep.
Just give me 9 drops all day. Some guys might get mad at 9 drops. I didn't throw a strike. Dude, I will take 11 9 drops a game. What?
Yeah, you're going to get your phantom back row. You get that sometimes.
It happens.
Yeah. It's just how it happens. It's physics.
To me, the ones that I struggle the most in. Now, I'm going to pick on Academy Lanes for a second. I like Academy Lanes.
Yes.
I think it's cool. I think it's a cool house. I think it has potential to be a great house. But God damn it, it is tough there.
It is amazingly quirky. It's quirky.
The Deadwood is weird.
There's been some modifications and things that he's made for long term for his house, and I totally understand it. I love it. It has definitely changed the pinfall. It is much quirkier in there than it used to be. There's so many lanes. It's very hard for just a couple guys that work there to take that much consistency into account when you have so many lanes.
And I get that. And I understand. And again, they do a ton for the game. And I don't want
My God, more than most.
And I don't want this to come off.
It's a great place to spend a week of bowling. It really
I don't want to come off as bashing Academy.
No, it's not.
But
it's not.
If you're going to have the Worlds there is no consistency. Meaning, on Monday in the singles, I go 660.
Yep.
By Thursday, throwing what I feel is the same ball, I'm averaging 114.
That's a big problem. I find that problem, not just Academy. I find that problem happens a lot at the Worlds in general.
It does. And I'll tell you, from my first year in the Worlds was 92. They did the plates every morning.
If you're going to do them, you have to do them like that. If you're not going to do it, just don't do it.
They did them every morning. Halifax, they did them. Now, they'll tell you, oh, we did them on Monday and then didn't do them the rest of the week. Bullshit.
That's
when
bullshit.
I was there,
every other day.
They would either every other day or they were done every day. Now, it's only been since it left Bangor where it's been done Monday and then nothing. And I'm sorry, that shouldn't be that way.
I can't stand that. You get guys in the knockout, they go banana sandwich. Some of these guys go career on Monday, which good for you. You went career, you made the knockout, you made some money, and you kicked ass. That's great. But then by the end of the week, and you can add in the gimpy arm effect. We've been bowling 20, 25 strings. Body's tired, body's in pain. We're ripping, we're having, whatever. It is our World Series, so we put everything into every ball we throw. But at the same time, why is a head pin hit on Monday an absolute crusher hammer, and then I throw the same ball on Thursday morning, and it's a back row with a piece of wood that I can't use? There's the consistency in that regard has gone. I almost wish they would just not touch a house and just leave it up to the bowlers to win the tournament, or do it every morning. So one or the other.
So here's a hold on.
I'm sorry, Brian.
Here's a conversation Tim and I have had. You talk about consistency.
Yes.
Tim and I have thought, what about this? Every set of lanes has 2 sets of 2 sevens and 2 sets of 2 sixes. They are the same bowling ball across the entire tournament. That is what you use. Have fun.
So like for the world. Now, for example,
for the Worlds.
For the Worlds, there's 2014s.
Yep.
12 ball returns. Yep. Hopefully. So 12 ball returns.
Yeah.
Okay. Each ball returns has 2 sets of 2 sevens. So maybe one's a pro rubber and the other's a urethane. And then 2 sets of 2 sixes, that's a Paramount, and the other's whatever. Every lane has the same exact set of bowling balls. You don't use your personal bowling balls.
Well, that takes the heavy ball effect of the randomness out of the equation as well.
Yep.
That takes a lot out of the equation.
It takes a lot out of the equation because now you're talking about everybody's using the same equipment.
Minus shoes.
Minus shoes. You got your own shoes.
That makes perfect sense. Use your own shoes. Yeah.
No, everybody wears the same shoe
like that.
in the
That's
NBA.
a funky idea. Even if you didn't do that at the Worlds, you could do the tournament out of that.
You could.
You just gave me an idea. You just gave me a great idea.
I personally, I love the idea because I'm like, that to me now gets on the bowler. It's the skill of the bowler. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're bowling in the Worlds, odds are you've got some skill.
Right, and that's what the Worlds should come down to.
What I'm talking about
should come down to my team being better than your team.
It takes away the randomness of the individual bowling balls. Okay, we all know at one point or another there has been an illegal ball used. Okay, I'm telling you. I've been doing this since 1992. Do not sit there and tell me that I'm full of shit. because the balls have never been weighed. That's the other thing. Why the fuck aren't the bowling balls weighed for the biggest tournament of the year? But yet I go to a main Pro Tour event, and my bowling balls had to be weighed on digital scale, and it had to go through the ring.
Yeah. Yep.
So we can do it for that, but you can't do it for the biggest tournament of the year.
Well, I hate hearing, well, it's a time thing.
Bullshit.
We all get there Sunday
Everybody's up there on
afternoon
Sunday.
for the most part. If
For the
not,
most
bring
part.
them Monday to the bowling alley to the knockout.
Yep.
Right.
Out of the committee, Sunday night, starting at 3 in the afternoon when most people get there. It should rotate. Somebody's at a table. As soon as you come in, I'll be right back down and bring your bowling bag. You weigh your 2 sets. They're recorded.
And you get like a
That's what
little
she is.
tag, has to stay on your bag, has to be
Yep.
available.
And your balls are marked, meaning I know that my white Comet Pro rubbers, they are marked white and purple on a sheet.
Yep.
White and purple Comet Pro rubbers.
We did that one year for the mixed teams tournament when it was at Park Place.
Yep.
I was weighing them. Melissa and I were doing it.
Yep.
We were helping Deb Regan out with it. We weighed people's bowling balls. We filled out a little slip with the color and the weight of the balls that we weighed, and we gave it to them and said, you got to keep this in your bag just in case there's any question. And you know how many people had a problem with it? Nobody.
Hey, and you're not tattling on anybody, but did you find any?
Yes. Yes.
I'm not surprised.
More than we thought we were going to.
I am not surprised because
And from people you would have never
And
expected.
again,
I
this is
will
not
keep
a
my mouth
Canadian.
shut
This
with
is
who-
Yeah, right.
Yep. This is not a Canadian thing or an American thing. It is a
This is a
bowling
personal
thing.
choice, whether you know your shit's overweight or not,
Correct.
and you still show up to the big time with it.
Correct.
Look, you want to bowl your leagues with it. You want to fight around with your buddies playing dollar boxes and shit like
Have
that
fun.
with the heavy. Good,
Have fun.
but fuck, that's what that shit's for.
I got
That's
a
what that shit's
3-pound
for.
Cyclone that I got in Bangor.
I got a set of old Brunswicks from the 40s I bought off of eBay like 10 years ago. All 4 of them weigh 212. All 4 of them. I don't use them. I
Right.
fought around with them here and there out
Sure.
here, but I don't bring them with me to anything that matters.
No.
Shit, I'm the guy that brings 2 5s to the Worlds, and people go, "What the fuck are you doing?"
I have.
That's for Thursday when you can't feel your arm.
That's right. That's damn
I
straight.
have two sets of bowling balls that I bring to the Worlds. My Comet Pro rubbers that I've had for 30 years, that have never been refinished.
Those were the best
digitally-
Comets in the world. Those old series
They've
Comets.
been
They were the
they've had
best.
divots patched. You've
They've
some
had divots patched. They've been digitally weighed. 3 of them are 266 and 1 is 264. And I have a set of 26 urethanes.
The new ones that came out.
The new ones.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. That's what I have. Digitally weighed.
I have 4 different color Paramounts with a white stripe on them. I have a cotton candy one, which my son grabbed the moment I opened the box, so that's my strike ball. And then I have a purple one.
It doesn't work, by the way, just so you know.
I got a purple and white one. I got an aqua green one, and I got like a yellow and blue one. And then I have
a
set
this
of,
because Brian and I bowl Thursday nights on the same team.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you guys were on the same team too?
Yeah,
I knew
we're
you guys
on
were
the
the
same
same
team
league.
on
I knew you were
Thursday
the same team.
it's him, myself, Gary Keaton, Eric Denault, and Jason Kaler is our Thursday night men's team.
Holy shit.
But the other set is a set of bowl balls I will never ever get rid of ever, because if I do, number one, I don't want to, and number two, I'll be dead. Are my 2-6 red and white new Comets. My wife bought them for me for our wedding. That was her wedding present. I got
Yeah,
new
you're
bowl
gonna
balls.
have those for a long time. You better have
Yes.
those for a long time. Yes.
But I mean, to me, Mark, it doesn't make sense that we have the biggest tournament and we don't take it serious like that.
I agree. And the only thing maybe I could say is that this tournament, once it was changed from what it used to be to the now International Candlepin Classic, it's not run by an owner. It's not run by somebody with more of a vested interest in it other than it just being the Worlds. It's being run by the bowlers now. Before, when Charlie and Ian had a hand in it, I know they probably both bowled in it for years and years, but then when they finally I know Charlie was still bowling on the East team forever as well. But even then, once he stepped back, now you have more of a tournament figurehead. You had Ian up in Canada, you had Charlie in America. We don't have that now. We don't have two people on each side that can separate themselves from the tournament and just be tournament directors about it and enforce some of these things. I don't think anybody's feelings should be taken into account if we're going to step into that puddle of mud. I don't think that should even be a thing. I think it should just be not, just weigh your fucking bowling balls, get this little slip that says this is what you're allowed to use, and then go from there. Oh, well, one of my balls broke. I had to get another set. Okay,
weigh them.
And then here's another ticket. And you could still use those other three if you wish, but now you have to keep this one out there too. Look, if we're going to talk about consistency and competition, I understand that through the years, there's been a lot of the Canadian teams have dropped compared to the American. I know a lot of that is financial due to the value of the dollar. It fluctuates and it sways year to year. There's a lot of reasons why, we could sit here and analyze one thing or the other, but we need more of a consistent figurehead on each side that kind of takes charge and steps out to the front and says, look, this is the way it's going to be. We're not just going to pussyfoot our way around. We're not just going to put our balls in the rack and go. A little bit more structure to it. I'm a little disappointed. I'm going to open this can of worms right now. I'm a little disappointed the ICBA doesn't sanction this tournament. This is the biggest tournament of the year for the best bowlers in the world. How you are the governing body and you don't want your name on it baffles me. Always has. Baffles me. I've spoken to people. I've heard answers. And okay, fine. Those people aren't at the ICBA anymore. I don't understand why they don't want this. I realize that some of the houses up in Canada are not sanctioned. Some of the houses down here in the States aren't sanctioned either. I get it. But why wouldn't you put your name on this and have some kind of partnership? We've lost almost every Canadian house with the exception of BJ up in Woodstock at his bowlodrome. I love the place. I've been there a couple times. Old school place. I love it. You walk in, it smells like a bowling alley. I love everything about that. That's that old wood maple smell from like the fort. I love that smell. But his place is beautiful. I love everything about it. He's the only place that's sanctioned now. So, why aren't they doing more? And if I hear it's because of the flat gutters, I'm going to take a shit if I hear that one more time.
I am tired of beating this drum with flat gutters. Flat gutters do not have an impact on the game for a bowler such as you, such as Brian, such as myself, such as anyone that's a what I would call a halfway decent bowler that throws hard enough. Flat gutters maybe give a pin a string, maybe.
To guys like us who throw the ball
to guys
hard
like us,
And honestly,
maybe.
The wood coming out of the gutter fucks you at least 50% of the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Flat gutters to me, flat gutters are designed for your league average bowler, your average league bowler,
and
or your bowlers off the street.
I mean, I think of the flat gutters. I see what that does is that improves, just like you were saying. Dude takes his girlfriend out for a date. They go to the bowling alley for a while. Instead of throwing 65 or 70 like they might here in my place, they go to a place that has flat gutters and they just threw an 85. Okay, great. Grandma and grandpa that bowl in the morning coffee leagues. They're not going to average 75. They're going to average 84. And they're going to be happier and they're going to want to come back some more. I get it. Does it really impact our game that much?
No.
Hey, the last couple of years we bowled at Bangor Brew. We bowled on flat gutters, didn't we? Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
We bowled in Moncton. We didn't bowl on flat. We bowled on tilted. You know what I mean? We've done these things, and they have not really affected the tilted gutters thing. Affected it a little bit.
The tilted gutter, and that's where I draw I will say I draw the line.
Weird.
The gutters,
I didn't like that.
No, I'm not a fan of tilted. I don't care. Flat gutters, it doesn't bother me.
No,
it doesn't bother me, and people need to get over well, they got flat gutters, so he threw a 200 string on flat gutters. Well, guess what? It's still a goddamn 200 string.
I mean, shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's still pretty fucking good.
If the game is going to evolve and adapt to the times that we're in. So in this last, 10, 15 years, our bowling alleys are nowhere near as full as they used to be. Your average people aren't coming to the bowling alley anymore. They're staying home. They're playing bowling games on their phone.
Yep.
They're not coming out to places. I kind of call this like the dead house era. I know there's a lot of places that are still doing great, but nowhere near as well as they used to be. So if places have good ideas to evolve the game forward, like if flat gutters, and some people may say that's a step back, that's cheating. It's only cheating if you take one out of the gutter, okay? That's the only time it's cheating.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mhm.
an evolution forward of the game where, yes, we long for the classics. Go on Facebook. All you hear about is people who want to go back in time and watch the old Channel 5 shows. And don't get me wrong, they're great. But that was a different era when things were better. We have to find ways to make the game better now. And if flat gutters knock your score up a little bit, well, then hey, maybe that's one of the next evolutions of the game. Maybe do we need a rubber pin instead of a plastic pin? I don't know. But somebody had an idea. Hey, what if we flip the gutters over? Maybe that'll keep more wood in play. We'll knock over more corner pins. How often do you drop 9 and it's a 7 or the 10? More
Right,
often
yeah.
than you don't. Or the 6 or the 4, like a pin
Mhm.
on the side. That wood maybe bounces off the wall. It doesn't get caught in the gutter end anymore. Now it pops back out. Now it's a 6-pin with a fat boy plank in front of it instead of a naked 6-pin with a wood wobbling in the gutter
Yeah.
that'll throw your eyes off like that.
Yep.
I mean, maybe this is just an evolution that they're ahead of the curve on, but the ICBA is just like, nah,
Well,
we're
and
not
that's
going to sanction you for that.
and that's
Maybe
the-
amongst other reasons. I don't quite know all of them, but I know that's been a big contention point.
I over the course of my life, especially over the last 5 or 10 years, have been extremely critical of the ICBA as a bowler. Okay, I'm not a proprietor. I don't own a business, but I'm a bowler. The ICBA is supposed to be a bowlers association, a
But it's not.
representation of International Candlepin Bowlers Association, ICBA. It's not International Candlepin Proprietors Bowling Association, or you know what I mean?
We have
Or
one
the
of those.
governing body that tells everybody else what to do.
Correct.
There's an organization called the BPAA, the Bowling Proprietors Association of America, where I'm a member of it here.
Yep.
By being an ICBA member, we get membership into that, which helps proprietors with other things like insurance and
Right.
and like things that you redemption things and such.
Yep.
And that's a really cool program. The ICBA, from what I was told a long time ago, was an organization for the owners, not the bowlers. And I think that was from a person that isn't at the ICBA anymore. I have a much better relationship with the people who are running the organization now, and I do believe that this organization now is different than it was 5 years ago.
I hope so.
I believe it's moving forward. It's moving at a slower pace. I believe COVID-19 gave that the kick in the ass too, to be honest. That slowed everything down and just said, hey, you guys can stop all this for a while. But knowing what I know from some of the friends that I have there, they are on a better path than what it was 5 years ago. That's the only reason why we joined, because we didn't join for the first 5 years that we were here, because I did not have any faith in it. I went to a couple meetings. I was invited as an associate. We weren't a member, where they were trying to like entice us in. And I stood up and said a few things. Dan Murphy told me to sit down and shut up, that I didn't have a voice at the meeting. Legit. Told me to sit down and shut up, that I didn't have a voice because I was not a member. But I was invited to enticed to be a member. And here I am, the youngest owner in the game, and trying to give some new ideas, some fresh insight as a guy that has a professional career going at the same time, has a family involved in it. I met my wife in a bowling alley. My kids were raised in a bowling alley. This is my life. This is not just something I do for fun. This game is literally my life. This game saved my life years ago from all the shit I grew up in and the friends that I don't have anymore. There's so much that I owe to this game that I want to give back so much forward. And there were some people in the old generation that were like, sit down and shut up and do it. So Melissa and I walked out. When they had lunch, we left. Instead of going back in for the second half, we left that meeting. The regime now is, I believe, on a much better path. There's some younger people involved now, and they're more willing to accept ideas. So I was very willing to jump in, and I'm hoping the next 5 years are better than the last.
Good. And I hope so, because I don't have a lot of time left in this game. Okay. I'm 50 years old in 6 months. Okay.
Yep.
I'm on the downhill slide of my career. There's still some things I want to do. There's still some things I want to see. There's still, the interest is still there, but I know the physical part of me is becoming more and more difficult to do what I used to do.
Yes.
So I'd like the ICBA to become a little more open to ideas. I'd like the Canadian houses to get back into it. There are a ton of Canadians that should be in the Hall of Fame that are not in the Hall of Fame.
My God, that is the
Jesus.
truest statement
There's-
that has come out of this whole podcast.
And
yes,
I will say this. So 2 things. I am trying to nominate my sister for the Hall of Fame. It is so fucking difficult to nominate someone for the Hall of Fame. You see this, Surratt put this on Facebook.
I saw
cooking.
it, and he nailed the fucking nail right on the head.
And
he hit the nail right on the head.
It's so long, and then there's people from either that were on the voting committee before that commented. They're like, well, do this, do that, and it's like, you know what? You know how hard it is to get this information, and I'll be honest, Brian and I have been talking. Brian's like, look, I want to nominate you.
Yeah.
Talking about me.
Jimmy, you deserve it. You deserve it.
Thank you. I struggle
you absolutely deserve it, dude.
I do. I struggle with believing that I deserve it. Let me put it that way. And maybe it's the chip on my shoulder. Maybe it's, maybe it's because of that's what I needed for drive to compete. I don't know. But anyway, my point is, it is so fucking difficult. I don't have my records from 1990 or 91 and shit like that.
That seems to me the fact of having to come up with all the old newspaper clippings, the fact like score sheets and other different things. There should just be criteria. There should just be a set criteria. Like you have to be 50. Okay, I'll go with that. That means you've been bowling competitively for 25, 30 years. You should have to be in this game that long. This is a game where we can have that kind of longevity and have a 30-year career. You can't do that in baseball. You can't do that in hockey, in those games. In this game, you can. I mean, look at great-grandma bowling the senior league. She's probably been bowling since she was 9 years old in a kids league. She's 87 years old now. So she started, she went up, she had her time, and now she's on, but she's still been bowling for 65 years.
Right.
You can have that longevity. But when you get to a certain level, like, you can't just go up to like nowadays where almost all of it's computer scoring. You can't just go up all the time and be like, hey, I need a printout of that. You can't go back to your league nights when you did have a monster string and just go, oh, wait, shit, I need to go back to my league 15 years ago and find a printout for that. It's a very difficult set of circumstances when you have to come up with that much literature to prove what you've done instead of the accolades that you have behind you, that if you have the trophies and if you have the name on the wall and if you have these things that are tangible that you can find now, what does it matter that you had to average 130 that season? Okay, prove it. Why? You've won the world's X. Your name's on the trophy and you know it. You have 4 or 5 house records, whatever you have. The name's on the wall, that's proven. There are certain, like I liked what Surratt's idea was. If you have 3 200s in your life, you should be a lock. That should be a lock.
Yeah.
Okay. If you have 2 500s or more, that should be a damn lock. Because even the elite.
That should be like 500 homers in baseball.
You know what I'm saying? Like you get to a point where you hit certain numbers that even professionals who will bowl for 20 or 30 years will never touch. And you did it 2, 3, 4, whatever, how many times. You shouldn't. That as long as you can prove those. If you can prove those things, which don't get me wrong, if I throw a 200, I'm getting a printout. Am I getting a printout of the time I won a pro series? No, probably not, because they handed me an envelope with like $1,000 in it. The hell with the printout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like there's different levels of things that should be proven, like certain commonalities, should I say, along the game. Singles, series, how many pros did you win, events, whether now, we lost the WCBC, then we had the pro series. All right, should the pro series carries as much weight as the WCBC? I feel absolutely not even close.
They're two different
Shouldn't it?
series.
And here's the thing. It shouldn't be on the bowler themselves to come up with all this. If you want all of this, it should be part of the scores kept for whatever you bowl. There should be a database. Other than that,
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yes.
Yeah.
It should be on the person who nominates you to convince this group this person belongs in the Hall of Fame?
Well, it is. That's the way that they do it now. At least as far as what I've understood. I went through it with the other guy that used to work here. He was trying to get his father nominated, and him and 2 or 3 other people were trying to go back all like 30 years and try to find all this paperwork from when he stopped bowling 30 years ago, and then go back and try to find all this paperwork from like the late 60s, 70s, mid 80s. Where the hell are you going to find that nowadays? I know a lot of things are archived nowadays on like Google and other things like that, but there's still you mean to tell me that the Candlepin bowling section of the old Boston Globe is archived? I'm probably willing to believe not.
Yeah, I know. It's on microfilm buried in the back corner of the oldest storeroom that they have at the Globe.
Right, and it's in a box that went moldy 15 years ago.
Yeah. And
it's a rat's nest.
Problem. So to me, someone asked me, what makes someone a Hall of Famer? And there's something also called the eye test. It has to person. Yep. For example, the person has to pass the eye test, meaning, am I seeing what I'm seeing? Think about it. You've seen some great bowlers.
Yes.
Short periods of time.
Yeah.
And then you see them 10 years later and they're just not the same bowler. But they had they've
even less than 10 years. Even less than 10 years.
So they have, to me, it's not just the accolades and things like that, but it's the eye test. Do they pass that eye test? Like Cookie.
Long were they great or elite? Yeah.
He to me, he belongs. My first year in the world was 92. He was at an elite level. He was still. He was 20 years later. He was still bowling.
Game.
Yes.
That he's not in the Hall of Fame. It is a crime. It is a literal disservice to the game that Dave Richards is not in the Hall of Fame.
Gary Carrington is not in the Hall of Fame.
That is another disservice.
He doesn't want to be, and he has said he doesn't want to be.
Well, then that's different.
That's different.
That if you refuse nomination, then okay, then we move on. But
Jeff Atkins is not in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
How the fuck? He's a world record holder.
He used to be.
Used to be. I know he beat me in my.
He used to be.
Look at him. Look at him. He used to be.
He used to be.
He
actually reached out to me. I'm not gonna say anything bad. Jeff reached out to me a couple weeks after I threw 519 and congratulated me. He's a class guy. I've never met him in person, but.
So my first year in the world's in '92. I was a nobody. Charlie called me up 2 weeks before the world and said, "You're bowling in 2 weeks." I said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I got to put a team in. You're bowling." I'm like, I got to get time off from work. He goes, "I don't care. You're bowling."
Timmy worked at McDonald's.
I worked at McDonald's at the time, so yeah, okay, it was easy.
Flip burgers or go try to be a world champion.
I borrowed the $100. I bowled the singles. I bowled 667 and qualified 31st with a 667.
31st with 667. There's your gap in the game now. 667, you're in the top 5 at the Worlds now.
So I made it all the way to the semifinals of my first singles.
No shit.
Yep.
Nice.
And I was getting there, and I'm like, okay, I'm actually now nervous. I'm like, okay, I'm a little nervous now. And I'm just kind of walking around trying to clear my head, and I'm like, okay, so I don't know who the fuck but who's this Jeff Atkins guy? And I happen to see the world record board. Oh. He owns a world record.
Drew Atkins in the semifinal? Oh.
Yeah.
Oof. And he had him beat for 5 boxes. I had him beat
my first 5. I threw a double in the 4th and 5th.
No shit.
And we swapped lanes, and he proceeded to.
He changed that.
He changed that pretty quick.
He changed that.
he felt you'll never get this. You'll never. He got that.
Yeah. I think I threw like a 120. He threw like a 140 something. Like I only had one other mark other than the double. Like I was like, what the hell am I doing here? But it was just. I know that's kind of a long way around the whole thing with the Hall of Fame. I just find it very difficult to, like, I'm trying to find all this stuff on my sister, like trying to come up with newspaper clippings and shit like that. And it's like,
you gotta try Mama Matero. I bet she has a whole box of that stuff, Timmy.
Nope.
And I bet Karen's box is a little bit bigger than yours.
Nope. No, I have more titles.
No,
than her.
but Mama loves her pretty much, probably a little bit more.
Oh, probably. She's
There's a guarantee. Actually.
I'm not the favorite of the family. I know that. That's okay. Mark, we're kind of running out of time here.
I told you I can blather on about bowling for hours and hours.
You didn't.
Man, my bad.
We're gonna get you on again soon.
I'd love to. These are great. I love doing these.
There's a ton more. I mean, we didn't get to any questions. We didn't get to anything that people had sent in, things like that. So we're gonna get you on again.
Cool.
And we're gonna continue this conversation. Folks, again, visit Riverwalk in Amesbury.
Please do. Come check it out. It's New England's oldest working candlepin bowling museum, is what I call the place.
Okay.
That's what it says on the business card.
You have King of the River every Sunday?
Every Sunday morning. Yep. We run a handicap tournament for anybody with a league average. Come on in, bowl 4 strings. And you could be the king of the river if you beat the king from last week.
I've never bowled at Riverwalk. It's one of the houses I've never bowled in.
What about
not even when it was Lafayette?
No, never really.
No.
Oh wow, dude, come on in sometime, man. Come on down.
I'm going to.
I stopped in and bowled in the TV roll off or YouTube roll off on my way home from Connecticut one year. Yeah. And Marky was bowling the finals of the Friday Night Pro League. So like as I'm leaving, he's like, "Oh hey, what are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I just bowled. I gotta go. Bye."
So stop in, visit Mark, check out Riverwalk Lanes in Amesbury. Mark, thank you for coming on. Look, we give each other shit. You're still one of my favorites. I'll admit it.
Dude, I love you, buddy. Thank you, man. It's been fun through the years, and then when that happened in Augusta, like we got a little closer, just busting each other's balls all the time. And it's good shit.
Again,
it's good shit.
It is. It's fun. It's the older I get, the more I appreciate the friends that I've made in the game.
Yes.
So again, thank you for coming on. Folks, as usual, send all of your questions, comments, concerns. Again, concerns about Brian can come to Ripping the Rack Podcast at gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube at Ripping the Rack Podcast, Facebook and Twitter at Ripping the Rack Podcast. Brian, where else can our listeners listen to us?
They can listen to us, Tim, on Spotify, Anchor, Breaker, iHeartRadio, iTunes, or wherever else you consume your podcast media. Yeah.
Thank you.
And don't forget to check Mark and I out Sunday nights on Twitch. On Johnny Death Drops.
Oh, yeah.
Dudes and Belts Wrestling Chatcast.
Get that
Gotta
in
get
there.
the plugs in.
Gotta plug them. Gotta plug it.
Get the plugs.
Like, subscribe. Listen to us talk about wrestling.
All right. Appreciate
Listen
it,
to me
guys.
fight with Walsh.
Peace.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.